Welcome to Fnext. Today I am going to explain a sci-fi film called Cabin Fever. 2002. At the start of the film, a man is walking in the woods and comes upon a dog that he believes to be sleeping. When he pulls the dog, all the blood falls on his face, and he notices that the dog's flesh is rotten, which means that its body is rotten due to any virus or disease. Meanwhile, 5 college friends are driving in a van through rural Alabama on their way to the woods, for they have rented a cabin in the woods. Along the way, they stop at a local convenience store for food. As they get out of the car, they see a small child in front of the store. When Paul shakes his hand with him, that young boy bites Paul on the hand. And there comes the store manager, who is the father of this young boy. He is very angry with his son and tells them that my son is not like other children, so forgive me for that. Then manager tells all to wash his hands right there. Meanwhile, there is another man who hears about the way of these people and warns them to be careful in the forest because people are roaming around who are infected with the virus. When they arrive at the cabin, Karen sees there is no network or signal. She is very upset because she could not upload any picture or neither play any game. After that, and Karen come out of the cabin and go for a swim in the lake. While Bert goes hunting for squirrels in the woods, he accidentally shoots the man who discovered the rotting dog at the beginning of the film. By this time, the man's face has become badly rotted. Bert is very scared of him even though the man asks him for help, but Bert forbids him to come near him and gives threats to kill him, and he runs away from there, and the infected man keeps asking for help. Bert does not tell anyone about it and goes back to his cabin. That evening, the 5 kids build a bonfire and share those stories with each other. They soon encounter a local college kid named Grim, who approaches them with his dog. Though he acts a little eccentric, they allow him to join in when he offers them a drink. However, once it starts raining, he leaves to take care of his camping equipment and the group retreats into the house later on. That night, they hear a knocking at the door. When they open the door, they discover the diseased man that Bert shot before he asked them for help and says that my body is burning and I need a doctor. That's when his eye falls on Bert, and he tells them that Bert shoot him, but before he can say anything else, Bert locks the door. He then sees the infected man taking their car first, picks up his gun and come out with the rest of the people and tells him to get out of the car first, shoots the tires of the car, but the infected man vomits blood all over the windscreen and the seats of the car. After the man exits, the car also sheds light on the infected man and he runs aflame back into the woods where he dies in the lake. The next morning we see Bert and Jeff walk off down the lake shore to find someone for help. Then they hear someone on the way and go there. They find a woman who is cutting the pig. Jeff tells her that we just need a mechanic here because our car is busted. That woman tells him that you have to go to town for that. Later she tells that let's go to my house. I have a radio, we can call Ricky. He has a truck, he will help you. They both are very happy to hear this and go to her house with him. Here she shows them a picture and asks about it. It was the same man they had set on fire. They soon discover that the woman was related to the hermit. They both are very scared to see this and leave the house quickly. In the next scene we see a police officer standing outside the cabin. A young deputy whose name was Winston Olson. Hoven tells him that we were attacked by an infected man at night. On hearing this, she says that I have to write a report for this, and we see that the police officer was behaving very strangely. But when Paul asked her for help and speaks for the car, she tells him that I will send a truck for your people to help, and then she leaves from there. During this time, Heron drinks a glass of water from the lake contaminated by the infected man and begins to feel. She goes to bed to rest. All later discovers rotten oils on Daringness. He tells to everyone. When they reach there, they are shocked to see Karen. Heron asks that everyone for help, but Bert stops them all and tells parents to stay in the bank. Even though Karen is in a very bad mood at the moment. She was badly crying because she was in so much pain. Bert was trying to explain to everyone, fearing that they will soon also become infected with whatever is ailing Karen as well as the man the night before. After that, they all start checking each other. Urine, yes, that quarantine until shut outside so that the other people are not infected. At night, everyone makes a plan and then suddenly they hear the sound of a dog. When they see it, there is a dog standing whose condition was very bad. And he tries to open the door of Karen's room and Bert goes out with the other to shoot the dog. But the dog disappears as soon as they see. When they go to the door and check, it has badly melted the next day. They discovered Karen's condition is deteriorating fast and Bert was trying to start the car. Here, Paul and Marcy insist on helping Karen, but at the same time, Bert also realizes that he himself is infected with the virus and he hides this from the rest of the people. But Jeff finds out that Bert is also infected and he asks about it. When Bert hears, he takes the car and runs from there. Jeff runs off into the forest with the remaining drink. The only reliable drinking source. Marcy yells at him as he flees, upset that he has abandoned her now alone in the cabin. Al finds Marcy sitting despondently on her bed. He tries to reassure her, but she reiterates that they are all doomed to get sick. Anyway, she seduces Paul and they begin having intercourse. After they finish, Marcy discovers some red marks on her backward Paul grab car. Meanwhile, Bert drives to the convenience store that the group visited earlier, pleading for some food. The manager sees his condition and understands that he is infected because he shows increasing signs of infection. Although Bert tells him to call the doctor, he agrees for this. The young retarded redneck boy on the bench then runs over and bites Bert again, thereby infecting himself. His father comes outside and rather than helping Bert tries to kill him. He calls for a gun to kill Bert, which frightens Bert so much and he takes the car, tries to run away. When he leaves, the manager tells his men that everyone in the cabin is infected, so he should call the police and kill them. He takes two of his redneck friends who armed themselves with rifles to go after Bert to kill him. On the other hand, Marcy has a bat and weeds. The marks Paul made on her back are shown to be developing into gruesome wounds like Karen's here. Paul heads over to the local reservoir. Suddenly the infected man attacks him and drops him into the water. It means that he was still alive after being burned. But Paul now drowns him into the water and kills him. Back at the cabin, Marcy is and notices they are beginning to deteriorate as the skin begins quickly peeling off. She runs outside and screams for help. Here the infected dog comes there and attacks Marcy, which makes her scream. Paul hears her screams and reaches there and sees that the dog has eaten Marcy completely. Then he hears Karen's voice. He reaches there with a gun and sees that the dog is eating emotionless Karen's body. However, Al kills the dog with Bert's rifle. Karen, whose skin has now almost fully rotted off. She is barely alive. She begs Paul to kill me because her condition is very bad. To end her suffering, he clubs and impales her with a shovel. He then throws petrol on her and set her on fire, destroying her whole body. Seeing all this, Paul is very sad and he starts crying. And Bert arrives there and tells to Paul that they are coming to kill us before he can say anything else. The manager shoots him in the head and Paul is so frightened. When he looks at the manager and his friends, he tries to shoot them with a gun that the bullet does not come out of the gun. A friend of the manager says that the safety of your gun is on and Paul turns on the safety of his gun and shoots them all free. They all die in that place. Paul then runs back to Bert's pursuer's car and drives into town. When he looks at his hands, he realizes that he too is infected, which distracts him and he goes to an accident. After that he gets out of the car. He continues on foot when he reaches a roadside party by a local team with Winston in attendance. He tells her that you promised to send a truck for help. But Winston tells him just relax and Paul again asks for help. Just as a police officer gets on the radio warning Winston about Paul and his group who are infected with a strange disease and that they are to be shot on sight. Hearing this, Winston turns his pistol on Paul and tells him to stay away, but Paul moves towards him and tries to explain to Winston that everything has happened because of you. And Winston tells him that you will take a shortcut from the forest and head towards the main road. But when Paul walks through the jungle, he realizes that Winston has betrayed him because there was no way to go. So he gets very sad and starts crying. The next morning Jeff comes out of the woods where he was hiding as he looks around, horrified that his friends are dead. Seeing him, he laughs like a crazy man and his eyes fall on his hand. He finds out that he is also infected. At that movement, Winston shoots him in the head and kills him. Then we see Paul again, whose body is getting rotten because he can't find his way into the forest. After that, the police come to the cabin and take away the dead bodies. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching.